If you guys know me, if you guys subscribe to the free newsletter with some very cool and also very informative business content, if you subscribe to that, you have already heard this before. I've got 5 staples in lawn care. There's 5 really areas of a lawn care business that you have to optimize. It easily breaks it down so that you can just go, I'm going to optimize this area, then this area, then this area, then this area, then this area. So I'm going to walk you guys through each of them and what I would do differently if I was starting out today, or even like what I would do if I had the time and the energy to really just redo my business from the ground up. Unfortunately, doing this kind of inhibits me from having the time to specifically do this. We're making changes, we're switching things up, but it should be good. I hope you guys enjoy. So number one, the number one area, the first area is weather. Now there's not a whole lot to change in here. Basically this is like the first pillar. There's a couple areas that there's always an issue with something, and weather is something that it changes, it fluctuates. There's not much you can do about it, and that's actually one area I've got basically no regrets. I think I did it really well. I was always made sure that I fit all of my properties into 4 days. All of my lawn properties were in 4 days. I wouldn't take on any more work than would fit in 4 days when it comes to like lawn mowing, like recurring work. If it's just an odd job here and there, sure, I'll book it in on a Friday or Saturday, it's fine. But if you get rained out that week and you have 5-6 days of mowing to do, you are in heaps of trouble. It is a mess. You're just grinding it out, and it's just like not something you're probably going to be wanting to do long term. So weather is an area where I did it really well. I hope you guys make sure you do that. If you haven't heard me say it before, 4 days mowing. Any other extra work you can do on the other days, but don't do more than 4 days of mowing. Whatever you would normally do in a day, if that means an 8-hour a day, if you're used to an 8.5 or a 9-hour day, it's fine too, as long as your employees are used to it as well. Fill those days and just make them as profitable as possible with mowing. Don't take any more than that. I know most people are like, I definitely don't have that problem. I got close to having that problem, but I made sure that it was just like, we fill those 4 days and that's it. So the next area is equipment. This is a really big one. Now, if I were starting out and I was really kicking it off, it depends on where I was. So financially, it depends on how much you want to invest into stuff. But here's a piece of advice that I'm going to give you guys, because I see a lot of people going out and buying used mowers and being stupid about it. Okay, like stupid about it. I get it. You want to be like Dave Ramsey, pay cash for everything. I understand. I get it. If you can, just go out and buy a low-end commercial mower with 0% financing. I said it. I know you guys might get triggered at me. If you know what you're doing with business, if you're following the channel and the podcast, I'm going to give you enough information that you can have a good enough foundation that paying $150 a month for a mower that's going to absolutely rip through the properties, do a fantastic job, and never break down on you is 100% worth it, guys. It's 100% worth it. If you're just starting, you're like, oh man, I have like 20 properties. You're kind of getting into a gray area here, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're never going to regret having that mower in your fleet, okay? Because you're going to pay it down in 2, maybe 3 years, and it's going to be paid off, and it's going to be a fantastic 2-3-year-old mower. Until then, it's never going to break down on you while you're still paying it down. Like, I've seen guys, belts are coming off all the time, tires are blowing, all this stuff, because they just bought a used mower when you could get 0% financing. And it also puts you in a jam because you might not be able to afford a good mower like you need. You might need a good mower to service your properties and your clients well, but you can't afford to pay cash. You can't afford to pay $8,000 for a zero turn. So you just get $3,000 a return and you regret it, and it's just a bad situation. Also, a really good benefit of that is there's almost always like mowers at the dealership, which is fantastic, and you can just get that financing. They let basically anyone get 0% financing. If you are a minor, there is a little bit of interest involved, but if you're a minor and you have a business entity set up on your parents' name, booyah, 0% interest. Guys, listen, inflation is more than 0%, okay? You could very well make money using this mower, so don't be so scared about it. I didn't do this. That was actually a poor decision on my fault. I don't know if I could have really handled it. I don't think I really needed a brand new mower, but if you have extensive serious experience with a zero turn, if you kind of know what you're doing, that's definitely something that you should be doing. When it comes to trucks, trailers, all that stuff, my word of advice to you is just have a mechanic look over it beforehand and don't get fancy, okay? You don't need the humongous V8 engine, all right? Unless you're doing plowing, you don't need the big V8. You definitely do not need a diesel. Under basically zero circumstances do you need diesel. Unless you're doing hardscapes, which I guarantee if you're watching this about what I would do differently with my lawn care business, you don't have hardscaping, you don't need a diesel. Do not buy a diesel. Buy a gas one. I would even go so far as to say I would much rather you buy a newer, lighter duty truck. So I hate to say this because people are going to hate on me. I wouldn't be out there buying a 2001 heavy duty truck. I just wouldn't, because you can tow the same exact thing with like a 2010 V6, V8, 1500, maybe not V6, but like you can tow the same thing. Your gas mileage is better. It's a newer truck and you pay the same thing. I don't understand why you have to buy a heavy duty truck. You don't. I get it. The frame's tougher. This is tougher. That's tougher. They got more plow things for it. I get it. I understand that's a way of thinking. I don't think it's a very good way of thinking just to get the heavy duty just to get it. I think it's completely doable to get a 1500, or even if you ended up with something like a Chevy Colorado, you just need to be able to tow your weight. I understand it's harder on the truck. You're just starting out, okay? I know some people are like, yep, go finance a new truck. I don't think that's the play. If you want to finance something, if you don't have all the cash up front, but you want something nice, I think it's pretty reasonable. You can spend $25,000, get a Tacoma, get a decent Tundra. You could get a decent F-150 or a Ranger, Colorado, Silverado, Sierra. There's so many options out there, guys. You can get a fantastic deal for $25,000 if you're willing to finance. And instead, you could put $8,000 down on it, and instead of spending $12,000 on this not that great truck, you can spend $8,000 on a down payment, and over the next couple of months, spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 during the season paying down the truck. And it's a much nicer truck. You're probably gonna get better gas mileage, probably newer, probably not gonna have as many issues. You just don't want to be dealing with these expensive mechanical repairs throughout the season. So just make sure also a mechanic looks it over, and financing is actually a decent option when inflation is as ridiculous as it is right now. Same goes with the mower. I would definitely 100%, like if I were really taking this seriously and going to the next level, 100% finance everything. Just finance it all. 0% interest, baby. I don't have much more to say. Trailers are cheap enough that you should be able to swing it. Now, if you're spending a lot of money on other things, one of the things that when it comes to equipment, when it comes to that kind of stuff, people get in a jam is cash flow. So cash flow is money month to month that you have. So most people just think, this year I'm going to spend $50,000, $60,000 paying the guys, paying for equipment, doing this, that, the other thing, but they don't think about, and like they're like, oh, 50,000, and I'm gonna, we're gonna bring in revenue-wise $80,000. Right? Most guys are just like, okay, I'm gonna make $30,000. Like it's just simple math, right? But it's actually not that. At the end of every month, you'd be like, okay, well, for over 6 months, right? That means I should make $5,000 a month. Actually, you're not gonna make $5,000 a month. You're probably gonna make like $2,000 the first month, maybe if you're really smart. I mean, month to month to month. I don't know how to really explain this to you guys. Do more research on what a cash flow statement is. I know it sounds sexy. You don't want to be watching on YouTube about cash flow statements and all this other, technical nonsense. It just means, do you have money in your bank account at the end of the month? Not at the end of the year, at the end of the month. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and we're going to jump there in a second, that if you're going out and you're spending tons of money on equipment, buying up stuff in the beginning of the year, you want the smallest down payments. I don't care. You want the smallest down payments. The insurance, you probably don't want to pay yearly. You just want to do monthly. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. It means, because the reason why is because you're going to run out of money before the month is over. Because your clients won't pay you before, they won't pay you, but you still have bills coming in. If they had paid you on time, like they're supposed to, and you'd be all set, but you might be kind of screwed over on this one. So we're going to get to accounts here in a second. That's really, really important when it comes to starting a business, lawn care business. And I wish I had done that differently. I'd done differently things with scheduling, billing, who I took, who I didn't, and how I kind of set things up. And at the end, I'll kind of say exactly what I want, but there's a couple different areas. So the first one, like I said, was weather. Just make sure you book in 4 days. Number 2, equipment. Finance it if you can. I know people are like, oh, financing, blah, blah, blah. Listen, as long as you are not stupid with what you're doing and not ruining your credit with what you're doing, you're fine. put small down payments. It's fine. I'd rather have cash in my bank account than more equity in a vehicle. Okay, it just doesn't mean anything to me. You know, like equity, blah blah blah, whatever. I'll pay a little bit of interest for it as long as you get a good rate. Number 3 is going to be it's employees. So employees, what I would do beginning in the beginning of the year, if you're just starting a business, do not hire your friends. Do not hire your friends' kids. Do not hire your nephew. Do not hire those people. Hire the people who know what they're doing. Go out and hire a guy who's run a lawn care crew before. Go hire him and pay him his stinking $20 an hour and give him his benefits and give him his stuff. Okay, guys? Set aside money and make sure you do that right. I did that wrong. I hired my buddies. It was a really bad idea. Why? Because if I want to make money soon, it's not going to work because I have to train them. They have no idea what they're doing. They do a bad job. It costs me money. I lose money on them, but I still need people to work. So I just end up having to work so much harder. So just go hire people who already know what they're doing. Don't hire people and train them thinking that you're going to be their savior, their dad, you know, saving them and you know, putting money in their bank account. Don't do it that way. Just find people who know what they're doing, okay? Trust me on this one. You can thank me later. Number 4 is accounts. This is a big one, guys. This is a big one. I'm going to break down a couple of real quick things when it comes to accounts. Number 1, billing. There's only 2 options that you're going to give people with billing. I don't care what you're telling me. I don't care. I'm not listening to you. You don't know. I have no clue what you're talking about if you disagree with me. I'm sorry. I'm going to throw that out there. There's only 2 ways you can bill people. Number 1, they pay you up front for the season, and you offer them 1 free mow. 1 free mow for the entire season. 1. In return for them paying up front for the season. That's option number 1. Not everyone can do it, you know, especially because people with bigger properties, maybe a farm, something like that, they don't have a whole lot of money just sitting around to pay you and stuff like that. They'd rather pay, you know, regularly pay and have it come out of their bank account versus like throw you, you know, like $1,000 at the beginning of the season. Plus it's a trust thing too. I can understand that. I can sympathize with that. The first year you might not trust them. They might not trust you a whole lot. The second option is you have their card on file. You have their card on file and you charge it every time you're over. Okay? We're not charging them at the end of the month. We are charging them every single week. What did I just say about cash flow? What did I just say? You guys will run out of money in your bank account and people will owe you money. They will owe you money, and guess what? The bank's gonna come knock on the door and say, hey, you haven't paid us. We're gonna take your vehicle from you just because your clients didn't pay you on time. Do not invoice at the end of the month. That is the stupidest thing you can do. Okay? You are literally just giving out interest-free loans to people for 30 days. We do not do that, okay? If people ask you, hey, can you mail me an invoice? The answer is no. We cannot mail you an invoice. You pay us upfront for the season. I can mail you the invoice for your upfront payment for the season. That's fine. Stamps are 70 cents, guys. That's ridiculous. We're not paying, you know, so it's like 6 months for the season. We're not paying $420 a client per season. You know, we're not paying $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100 in stamps for the season, plus another $100 in envelopes and paper and ink and all this other garbage, you know, a couple $100 for the season when they can just get their stupid card on file. You drive to their house at the first visit. You say, you have to be there for the first visit. We're going to get your credit card punched in. You're going to be on file, and we're going to charge you every single visit, okay? That's how we do it. With accounts also, you have to bid profitably. I had another video on that. Go watch that. You have to bid profitably. And if they don't like it, I don't care. Do not take them, okay? If they're super picky about the stuff and they're talking about this thing and the other thing, you need to have your cap where it's like, if they are crazy and you can tell they're crazy, do not take them on as clients thinking that you will be the one, the savior, you know, the one who can service their property magically and they'll be happy. They will not be happy. And you're going to be in non-happy land all the time, and it's just going to be a mess. Do not take bad clients. Do not ever negotiate your prices. There's only 2 options for billing, and that's credit card on file or upfront for the season. Now, the good part about those 2 ways of people paying you is when people actually pay you upfront for the season, that means all you need is money for marketing money, because literally they're paying you upfront for the season. And then you take that money and you go buy a truck, and you take the money, you go put a deposit on your mower that's 0% interest, okay? And I'll get to that at the end. That's what I would do, knowing what I know now with marketing and stuff like that. Now, you starting out, maybe not the play, but remember, only 2 options with billing. The other thing is do not do it on an Excel sheet, okay? Pay the $150 a month, go get Jobber. I do have an affiliate code, but I'm not even gonna put it down below. I'm not gonna put it down below because I don't wanna be like one of those guys on YouTube trying to sell you this affiliate thing, this, that, the other thing. Go to Jobber, they're gonna give you a discounted price, ride that discounted price for a couple months. It's like $150. I know you're like, oh, well, this and the credit card fees and this. Add the credit card processing fee on top of their Mo price. Everybody understands it is what it is. You're taking it out of their bank account every time you're over for a visit. You do not want to keep track of your clients on an Excel sheet or a piece of paper. It's stupid. You're going to forget to bill people. People are going to run away with hundreds of dollars that you needed them to pay you that year. It's going to save you hours and hours and hours. Buy a CRM. It's like customer resource management, I think is what it stands for. Get Jobber, that's the one that I know well. It works fantastic. There's different levels of Jobber too. So if you got a bigger company, works better for that. Smaller company, you got options too. It's like anywhere from like $50 to like $300 a month. There's a bunch of different options in there. I think there's 3 packages. Get that. And then the last one is personal. What I would do with personal life and Lawncare. Do everything else I told you so that it doesn't take you that long, okay? If you're working 4 days a week and you fill them up and you have equipment that doesn't break and you have employees that show up and do a good job and you have clients that pay you on time, and like if that all ran smoothly, dude, that's the easiest business in the world. And 4 days a week, you work 8 hours a day, plus a little bit of work here and there in the office. You're working 35, well, definitely less than 40 hours a week. And if you do this right, guys, you can net a lot of money. When I mean a lot of money, I think it's super realistic within 2-3 years to be netting 6 figures and working less than 40 hours a week since day one. Like since day one, working less than 40 hours a week. That being said, that's what I've got for personal. So number 1 was weather, 4 days or less. Number 2, equipment, finance. Number 3 was employees, hire people who know what they're doing. Number 4 was accounts. Payment, do not know at the end of the month payment. Vet your clients well, charge what you're worth. And then number 5 is don't kill yourself over this because you don't have to. If you're killing yourself, you're doing it wrong and you ignore the rest of the video. So that being said, what would I do? What would I do if I were starting my lawn care business from scratch? And honestly, I'm thinking, just throwing it out there. What if I started another lawn care business in a totally different place and did these things in this video? And like full demonstration was like, look guys, it worked. That would be kind of fun and it would be a really good case study to just show you guys, this is what works, guys. This is what works. But anyway, what I'd be doing, right? Knowing what I know now, yes, I have connections. Yes, I have this. Yes, I have that. Let's say I'm in a whole new area. I've never done lawn care in this area before. I don't have my boy Danny to help me out, give me some, resources. I don't have Jay down at Mowers Plus telling me you should probably fix this and this. I don't have my buddy at the car dealership down the road who's like, don't buy that car. That interest rate's terrible. Get this one. Go with these mortgage lenders. Go to your bank. Go do this. Down payment like this. If I didn't have that and I started from scratch, the first thing I would do, I'd roll into town. I'd make sure I was at least 2 months out from the beginning of the season, right? And I would go and the first couple things that start getting up, get some sort of legal entity set up, whether you want to set up an LLC or a corporation from the get-go, or if you just want to do it personally and just go get some insurance to make sure you don't get sued. If you get sued, you're fine. You just go out, you buy your insurance, you make sure everything's legit, you have a legit bank account. I'd set up my business credit card. I'd start building credit on that, and I would start. And honestly, I could start with a lot less than $5,000, and easily within the first year, I could net enough money to like survive. Like when I talk about surviving, I mean like I have my own apartment and I can go to church on a Sunday and I've got food in my belly and I've got a nice phone in my pocket and I can watch some YouTube at the end of the day and I can go to the gym. I'm not talking about buying like Rolexes and Lambos and that kind of stuff. I'm talking like I could live my life first year in 1 year and all I need to do is roll up with $5,000. Roll up with $5,000 in a good area and I start marketing. And I build out my Google My Business, my Facebook profile, my Instagram profile, my social media stuff. Listen, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you're probably not one of those guys who's like, I avoid all social media platforms. Okay, personally, I don't like the personal stuff. I don't like to dice around on social media. That being said, you can get a butt ton of traffic, a butt ton of people coming in as your new clients. Get the word out there, throw some yard signs up if that's something you want to do, but just market on social media. Do that well. Go out. I would probably, if I had $5,000 to spend, I spent $1,500 on a course teaching me how to run social media ads. $1,500. The other $3,500, I probably spend $2,500 on ads, running ads, filling my client roster, and I'd set aside the other $2,000 as just kind of backup money, because the people, they're not going to immediately start paying you up front for the season, especially if it's your first season. They don't really trust you. It's kind of tough to do. Not as many people will pay you up front for the season. I could say probably in my first year, depending on the area that I'm in, I mean, I could easily get 40 clients the first year. I think if I really pushed and was smart about it, I think 60, 65 clients is pretty realistic in the first year. Let's just go with 40, conservative. You know, I work hard, but like I'm not the social media marketing genius. I could probably get, 40 clients. Let's say let's say that I really incentivize them and 15 of those people pay me up front. Each of them gives me $1,000. I now have $15,000. I go out, I put a couple $1,000s down on a vehicle, buy a trailer for like $1,200 from Home Depot, get a decent, a solid commercial mower, put down $1,000 on that, get 0% financing, and now I've got cash to go. I can literally go buy my equipment after everything else. Like I literally did everything else and then bought equipment. I literally sold these people on the service and then later did it, So I think it's pretty reasonable. $15,000, you go buy all your equipment. Guess what? Government's gonna take your $15,000. You just started up and you literally expense the whole thing. Don't worry about taxes. Taxes is not even part of the equation now. Now that you have your equipment and everything, you start hiring people and you start performing the service. Now keep in mind, you still have another 25 people who didn't pay you up front for the season that you're making residual money off of. And when you're doing that, that's where you pay your bills, right? Because keep in mind, a lot of people paid you up front for the season and you use that to buy equipment. Now, the people who are just residually coming in, that amount of money will probably just cover all of your expenses. And then you make money on the spring and fall cleanups, on the mulch jobs, on the hedge trimming, on those little services. You make money to feed yourself. You slowly grow your business throughout the year. You add on a couple of clients throughout the season. Maybe you finish out at 50, 55 clients at the end of the year. I think it's completely doable to buy and, to end up at the end of the year to have made $30,000, $35,000 in 6, 7, 8 months, have absolutely solid equipment, have good employees, have a good client base, and then come steamrolling into the next year and literally double or triple your size. Boom. I mean, second or third year, I think it's so realistic, guys. By the third year, if you're smart, you can literally start with $5,000 and by the third year be netting 6 figures and not ever spend more than 40 hours a week working. Okay, guys? Completely realistic. That's how I would do it. I don't know if this was a little bit vague. Comment down below if you don't understand what I'm talking about. I'm just saying you don't need a butt ton of cash going into this. I spent a butt ton of cash going into it. Wasn't actually the play. Wasn't actually the way to go. I just didn't have the confidence to be like, yeah, give me $1,000 up front for the season. People really didn't want to do it because before I was just a cheap lawn mowing kid. So just make sure you do that well. That's what I got for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy, got some value. I will catch you on the next video. Peace out.